mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J. Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up, and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground, I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around, who here thinks Ochenko can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's doing the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ochenko can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time
Good show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle?
My dad tell you about it.
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Players. Look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now.
Hello. Welcome back to Mic'd Up. Today is Friday, November 8th. We are it's the eve of the LSU Alabama game. It's the eve of one of the, if not the first true, I guess you can say, elimination game in the playoffs. At this point in the season, early games in the season, really hard to call elimination games because they're so early. This one, if LSU wins, obviously they have everything right in front of. Alabama wins, they have the ability to continue to win and make it into the playoffs. So basically, whoever loses this game is going to go to the ReliaQuest
Money Car Care.
Whatever bowl that is in Orlando for the 17th time in a row, it feels like.
See, that's why I'm off calling this a playoff game or a de facto you lose, you're out. Well, we could help not spread the narrative that it is.
Yeah, right, but it is.
But why would, I mean...
Yeah,
I'm just saying, you don't know what's going to happen in the rest of the year.
Coach, it's a playoff game.
Listen,
it's a playoff game.
Everybody can fall off a cliff.
Right.
And you could get in there as a three. It's a playoff game, though.
Guess what? It's a playoff game.
No doubt.
That's like putting a parlay in with a plus 8,000. You're like, but I got a good chance to win this. No, you don't. That's why it's plus 8,000. So,
well, it's like saying you went 9 of 10. It's like, well, I didn't really lose. Like, well, did you get paid? No. So you lost.
So everybody ain't falling off a cliff. Like, this is a playoff game.
Unless you bet them all individually like we like to do.
Yeah.
And
you had a great day.
Because then you had a great day, right? Which we hope we're having a great weekend. Speaking of the parlays, Mic'd Up Parlay going to get back in the winning ways this week. We have a good one. We've talked about it. We started looking at this on Wednesday. Having some conversations on Wednesday. I looked at it again yesterday. I came into the show ready with some bets that I liked on outside of the parlay. And hopefully we get back on the winning ways. We're going to talk about that through the course of the show.
Sometimes you need to get your ass kicked.
Sometimes you need to. You need to get picked up off the ground. You got to figure it out how to rebound. How much grit and determination do you have? You know what I mean? How much will do you have to just really keep going? And we have all of it. We have a lot of will, and we're going to continue to move forward. We're going to continue to powering Louisiana forward. Yeah, like Meade Heavy Civil.
That's right.
We are going to continue to win, and I think we have a good one. We're going to talk about it through the course of the show. We're obviously going to talk a little bit of LSU, Alabama. We've talked a lot about it through the course of the week. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, talk about what we want to see, and the last little finishing touches on the preview of the weekend, and then we're really going to get into the gambling conversation and the football conversation because there's a lot of interesting matchups throughout the course of the weekend. Bryce Koon, friend of the show, on Fridays, coming in around 1:40, not 11:40, already passed that time. 1:40 to talk LSU, talk gambling, and to hang out with the boys. And if you're out and about, if you're in Baton Rouge a little early before the weekend, LSU scrimmage, 4 o'clock at Alex Box. It's overcast, no rain. Go out there, watch the boys. If you can't watch them today, they play tomorrow at 11:30 in Alex Box Stadium. Obviously, if you want to go and tailgate, you want to pop in there, have a couple drinks while you watch the baseball game, and then walk around, you can do that as well. But they will be out there all weekend. Then on Sunday, they play in Lafayette against UL, I think around 11 a.m.
Diabolical.
Which is diabolical, for their last scrimmage of the weekend. But we are here to talk a little bit about football. We're here to talk about the game. Pat McAfee and the squad right now live from the stadium. They're not very happy with the humidity here, which, I mean, listen, it is humid, but it's been way worse. I mean, they're not even in the worst part of it. I get it. They're in the mid.
He's talking like this shit is in the middle of the summer, man. Like this is.
He talks. He's like in the Amazon.
This isn't terrible for anywhere right now. Like this. Come on. He's not.
He's acting like he's in the Amazon. He's never been in there.
Come on now.
It ain't like that.
He went to Texas. He was at Texas.
But that's not gonna have a lot of. This should be hot. That's not gonna be humid.
Oh, yeah,
My point is, it was 5 weeks ago. Like it was probably hotter there.
Oh, he was bitching about that too. He doesn't do well in the heat.
No, he doesn't like the hot heat.
I get it, but it ain't that damn hot today.
I walked outside, and whenever I heard him talking about it, I was like, that did not cross my mind today.
No.
That I was like, man, it's hot.
I mean, it's humid, but it's not like sweaty.
And listen, keep the positive vibes coming for the weekend. Right, we've been doing really good pushing that thing out of the way. Let's keep doing that. It's not give up. You're right there on the finish line. Can't give up. You can't let up, and you gotta keep pushing forward and keep willing this weather
fourth quarter
to go a fourth quarter.
You're tired.
Like Brian Kelly said in his interview, got to play a full 4 quarters today. You gotta play a full game. We've got to be locked in. We can't start off fast and end slow. We can't start off slow and end fast. We've got to play 4 quarters for the entire game and be locked in from start to finish in order to win this game. Right? And we need to be locked in start to finish with willing this weather away of Tiger Stadium so that the LSU Tigers have a better chance of winning tomorrow. And what?
I was going to say Alabama is on the other side of this. I'm looking at TuscaloosaThread.com. Saturday, chance of showers, thunderstorms possible, chance of precipitation 50%. Saturday night, chance of precipitation, 60%. That's not what I've heard.
That's not what I've heard.
You take your Alabama weather Doppler and upgrade it.
I'll just look at the weather.
It
doesn't show me that on the weather app that I have. So
don't tell me about our weather when you're not here.
Never rains in Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Never rains in Tiger Stadium.
Unless you play Oregon State.
What's that?
Unless you play Oregon State.
Unless you play Oregon State. All right, so talking about this LSU-Alabama game, we talked about matchups. We talked about what we want to see. We talked about LSU's keys to victory and what Alabama's going to do and what they need to do to stop it. Brian Kelly has come out this week and has had interviews and has talked about basically they have to figure out a way, right, to play a complete game from start to finish. He's like, we haven't done it all year. We've done it. We've had spurts. We've played 2 or 3 good quarters in a row and, given up on 1 quarter or whatever. And this game, it's going to take 4 quarters. And they're going to have to figure out a way, which we talked about a lot, how to show some diversity in the offensive scheme, right? How are you going to get yards outside of just throwing the ball through the air? I think those are obviously the big keys, and defense needs to come up with a couple big plays and keeping Jalen Milroe at bay. That's what I think. What do y'all think?
I mean, yeah, dude. Like this is, I wouldn't say it'd be great to say 4 quarters. I don't really think. I'm not exactly sure how much I'm ever. Even when you think about baseball, how often does a team play 9 full innings?
Right.
Even the best ones,
Right.
the ones that win championships. Like how often do they play 9 full innings?
Right. No,
How often do they not give away a single
Right.
at bat, not
Right.
give away a single out,
Right.
not give away a single pitch?
I think it's limiting it, right? Like, hey.
So 4 quarters, yes, obviously I want all 4 quarters for them to be played well, but what you need to do is you need to be able to not match their energy, you need to beat their energy. You
Yep.
need to be I want to see them play inspired football from the start to the finish. Not having like lows and seeming like I don't know if they're actually there yet, and there's not much else that can get you up to play a game like this outside of game day being here, outside of it being 100,000 people at home. This is what Lloyd is trying to say it's not. It is a playoff game. Like, it just is. It's really that simple. Like, you take an L here, you're looking at going to the Citrus Bowl. That's probably where you'll land. Like, that's your best case scenario. So playing in a situation like this, and this is the first time this has ever been a thing, like really, truly been a thing, I'm looking forward to it, but I think being able to show up with the right kind of energy, to have it channeled the right way, and to play with that kind of passion,
Yeah.
I think that needs to happen from the first kickoff to the absolute last snap.
You know, it would be electric for the energy if the new Tiger that they got for the field somehow escapes out of that plexiglass that they have him in, and he gets a little tour of the field. Now, nobody needs to get hurt. They have tranquilizer guns on deck, right? But, boy, talk about some energy.
Mikey
coming
wants
through
to
that.
see the Tigers escape out of a plexiglass, whatever
Yep.
it is, in front of 100,000
Yep, and
people.
then get tranked and just be fine and go to sleep, and then
Oh, my God.
You know how many
it's just because the whole situation is so crazy to me that this is something that we're doing that, like, I want to see some fireworks.
I think the Tiger is the fireworks. He doesn't
Yeah, I
have to
think
get
him
out.
being in a plexiglass and not behind bars, or I think that is the fireworks, to where you kind of feel threatened a little bit just because it's like,
There's
hey,
a
I
Mike
can
the
see.
Tiger that we have who has been around the crowds. He gets too anxious in front of 107. So let's just get a Tiger that's never been around these crowds and see
This
what
Tiger's
happens.
different. Okay, he's a different
Listen,
guy.
Hey, listen, 5-star.
This is a
Built different.
5-star recruit.
this fucking street Tiger.
5-star recruit. You got him from the fucking.
Hey.
You got him from down deep in New Orleans.
Related
Coach.
to Kobe or some
Yeah.
shit. Like, he's different. Like,
Yeah.
So what are you saying? What's the word? You gave me the Kenny Matumbo.
But just say it. Don't be speaking ill of Mike 7. We don't know if he actually gets anxious. He's never done it before. That's just what people are saying about him.
Yep.
That's just the report, so he doesn't have to go. So I think if he did it, he might enjoy it. We don't know.
Right.
Instead, we flew in Omar Bradley, the Tiger.
Is that his name, Omar?
Mm-hmm. Omar coming.
Omar Bradley. Omar's gonna be here.
where, do we know where Omar lives at? Like,
Florida.
Florida.
Florida boy.
Yeah, they tossed some ice
look,
bags in his crate. And
Florida
said,
man.
You know the Florida boys, they
Florida
raw.
man
Like, they-
always have. So see, this would be
Hey.
even more reason why.
Them boys raw. They come into they do a lot of developing when they get to these ranks.
Here's my question: was Omar born in a zoo or a habitat in Florida, or was he taken from the wild somewhere and just transported? Into,
this
'cause
guy.
look, that guy,
This guy bought him.
right? But where did he buy him from?
That's I would like to say Mexico.
What a wild decision.
Yeah, him and Mike.
Can you
Tyson.
imagine waking up one day and just be like,
him and Mike Tyson?
I'm gonna buy me a goddamn tiger today.
He owns a habitat or whatever you want to call it. One of these essentially like Tiger King. He is cut from the same cloth as this man. But he's on probation as he's no longer allowed to purchase wild animals.
So Omar was his last one.
Omar might try to escape.
What else does he have?
I'm telling you,
That's the real question. What-
You are not. You're only helping my theory of this thing's gonna happen. He's gonna get out.
Well, the one thing I'm concerned about is concealed carry in the stadium. You might see a bunch of people hunting the tiger. That ain't a trank.
No, we just need a trank. You think they're gonna have snipers perched on top just in
No.
case with a trank?
This is unbelievable. This is the craziest shit I've ever heard of in my life.
You think? I mean, they're ready.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I just want you.
That was the article.
I
They're
kind of want
ready
y'all to
with
think about it. Like,
tranquilizer guns.
hey, the old school thing used to be obviously Mike was in a cage
Right.
in between bars. Like he could breathe on you, but obviously didn't because you never got that close to him.
Right.
But when they paraded him around, like it was like that. The idea of a tiger in a big plexiglass thing where it's seemingly like he can see all angles, that's
My point.
That's different right there, dog. That's
point.
different.
It ain't like the plexiglass he has at his cage. Oh. You know, what if he gets crazy and gets up and starts banging it and just one screw loose, boom, gets out.
I think they probably double check the screws.
Well,
No, this man has a history of not double checking
there we go.
his pets. As he was one time, he was cited for, this was in 2006, I believe? 2008. Calbazon has been repeatedly cited for failure to supply adequate veterinary care, failure to meet minimum space requirements for tigers, lions, chimpanzees, improper food storage, failure to have an exercise plan, and more. In 2011, a tiger Calbazon was exhibiting from Universal Soul had her foot trapped under a sliding door cage. In 2008, Calbazon paid a $6,000 penalty for 2 tigers escaping while he was supplying a Tiger Act for Universal Soul.
So, my only thing is if you were able to find that in 5 minutes, I think LSU as a institution knows that as well.
No doubt.
And I'm not exactly sure that they're leaving up the safety measures to this guy.
No doubt.
So, like, that doesn't really do much
And
for me.
I'm not sitting here saying that he is going to escape. I'm just saying it would be very nobody getting hurt. It would just be entertaining to see it happen, and then it'd be squashed right away.
Coach, if he
nobody hurt.
I can tell you right now, if he escaped, the next 100 years of Tiger Stadium will have 0 appearances by a Tiger. Like, that's what's going to happen.
No doubt.
I mean, and you're trying to credit stadium security here, or
no,
Tiger King
Stadium
security.
has no.
I was about to say, we had Marwan walk on the field during a play.
Yeah, stroll on the field.
Yeah, he
just
just got a
take
bird.
little
He
stroll.
didn't know what a bird's eye view. He got the
in there.
NFL
I don't even know if you
2K5.
I don't even know if you could call that a stroll.
He was doing the Jamboree high school coaches like, let me just make sure hands on
That
hip.
wasn't, Coach, that wasn't a stroll. That was like the walk you take when you, like, walk outside of the house in the road to go get the newspaper, like old school. Like, look at this morning. This is a
Great
nice
weather.
morning.
Huh.
That's not a stroll. That's just, let me get to the end of the driveway.
Yeah.
There was nothing behind those eyes. That's the shame of it all. He probably doesn't
Good for him.
remember
He's a
doing
legend.
it.
He's a legend.
Legend.
You get
think
that picture's gonna be. He probably has it framed.
I
somewhere.
hope he has it framed at home. Like, he has to have that thing blown up,
No
like,
doubt.
signed, like, this
No
is me.
doubt.
One broken tackle,
This
too.
is me.
Yeah, he did. And he said, "Don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
Don't touch
That was
me."
incredible.
Yeah, wild. Hopefully we get some more fireworks like that this weekend. I
No
imagine.
fireworks for the Tiger.
No,
He's got to
no
be out of
fireworks.
there.
No actual fireworks. I'm talking about fireworks on the field. Obviously, I would imagine that they are not going to have the full-blown light show like they had against Ole Miss because they haven't announced that they're giving out that kind of stuff. Oh, we got something.
I have heard
Yes.
that there is an app you can download on your phone to prevent the bracelets.
Seems like that's probably the better move.
Yeah, so an app that syncs up to the light show.
So whenever you don't have to open the app, it's just gonna start doing it.
No, I think you have to open it up on
See,
your phone.
that's a lot of work because you don't know when the.
I think it'll probably, I think
Hey,
you'll
open
get
your phones.
I think you'll get a pretty good idea. They
Yeah.
probably will make an announcement like
Coach,
that.
I
Like,
mean,
get your phones out.
I feel like it's got to be like that because if not, if it's just in my phone, then you tapped into my phone, and I don't really,
Yeah, right.
I don't really like that feel either. So
Yeah.
I'd rather you tell me I got to open my phone,
Yeah.
and open the app, and get this thing going.
Yeah,
think
well,
that-
that's good. So there is gonna be a light show.
Yeah, I think this is more preventative after the wristband fiasco where people were quick to throw those. I don't know how quick you'll be to throw your phone.
Right, and you would think that
It could happen, though.
It's 2024. We're on the verge of 2025. They have a lot of apps. They have apps for all kinds of things, and this seems like it's probably the more
Listen,
efficient
we
way.
all think the bags
Cheaper,
were
too.
were a good idea.
Cheaper too.
Next time, full regalia.
Yeah. Now if they start throwing phones, then we got some problems.
Yeah,
If
but
you
it
throw
could
a phone,
happen.
then you're a psychopath.
And you might as well bring a poncho anyway, just because drinks are gonna be going in the air.
Oh yeah.
This is one of those.
No doubt.
All those hoity-toity people.
I'm
you
glad
think-
they're doing it though, because that makes
part
a lot
of it.
Just the
Yeah.
thought process. What do y'all think about this? I don't know why I just thought about this, but staying on the topic of the crowd and all of that kind of situation, if there's a win here, outside of it being like a last second, is there a storming of the field again?
Should not be.
I agree that you can make a massive statement as to that chapter of this book
No
is
doubt.
over.
No
where
doubt.
You're not really the boogeyman's dead.
100%.
This is our time. Like LSU's here.
I mean,
We
it's,
expect to
it's-
win these
it's
games.
number
Yeah.
like what 15 against number 11. Like even if you do Mason Taylor it again from 2022, like does there need to be a
No.
Does there need
no.
to be a storming of the field?
No.
Again?
That is where I believe it would happen if it was a.
I think it
walk-off?
would too, but I think like you're saying, like I'm more in the camp of, hey, like when do we stop this? Like we didn't bring in Georgia, who's won 48 of their last 50 games. Like I don't care that it's Alabama. At some point, it's got to be like this is expected here.
Yeah.
Or you never really get to that spot. So it's like number 11 against number 14. Like I think that needs to be done at this point.
And you would owe $500,000 to Alabama.
I think it needs to be done. Like you're playing
And you
a team
spend all
with,
that on the Tiger.
You're playing a team with 2 losses at this point. I don't care if we take it into 4 overtimes. It probably needs to be done at this point.
Oh,
Yeah,
I agree, but
I agree.
It is not up to us.
It's
No,
not,
it's not.
but that's why I asked. Like, what do y'all think is gonna happen? Because
I think that if you go and if it's not a last minute win, I think that they don't rush the field. I think if it's a walk off,
I'll be honest with you, I still think the fan base here is at the point to where if they won by 10 points, I still think there's a high chance you see them storm the
you
field.
think?
I think that they're. See, this is where I think it would be student section only, and it would be just the student section. Like I don't think you see the general public.
Well, my
run
point
down
is
there.
like okay, student section that's gonna
That
bleed
still
off
count-
until
Yeah, it still
it's gonna-
counts.
Oh no, but that's if you just have a weak ass storming, I think that would probably quell it too. I think if
But
you
they're
can,
down
It needs to
at
be
this
no
point,
storming.
oh, I agree.
No storming.
Maybe,
I think there needs to be absolutely none in this game.
and that is where it kind of comes down to like the university. You could absolutely stop it if you wanted to. Like let's actually get some tackling going on over here because I think this is when we're like, no, y'all aren't getting on the field.
Well, how many people gonna tackle?
Yeah, you
All
got
of
enough.
them.
You
Let
got-
the-
you
Can't
got
tackle
enough.
them all.
Let the Tiger go.
Yeah, first line defense, and then after that you sacrifice yourself for the greater good, right? The first line goes in there, they get tackled. Now they ran out of men. We got more than they got, and then that's how
That's
happens.
how wars are won.
That's how it happens, old school wars.
Yeah.
Where hey, you're gonna die. You're in the front lines. You're probably gonna die, but we're gonna win because of you.
Right.
But
You'll
nobody's
be remembered.
Nobody's gonna remember you though.
You'll be
We're
remembered
just
in
gonna
Normandy.
Yeah, nobody's gonna remember you.
First
But we're
off the
gonna remember
boat.
that we won because you were in that first line.
Yeah.
Remember the first line, just not you.
Yeah, you're just a part of a bigger number.
Yeah. It's all about the team.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them.
Right.
But I hope it's not.
I hope it's not. I hope they don't storm the field. I like. How are we feeling about the game now that we've gotten closer? Every day of the week, it probably changes in your mind, or maybe gotten worse or better. How do you feel about the game, Lloyd?
I have gotten to the point of better because the more
feel good, too.
the more I've thought about it, like I think a lot of people, and it's easy to get caught up in the Texas A&M game and what you saw last is the thing you remember first.
Don't forget what you saw the first 2.5 quarters.
Exactly. Like I feel like everybody is putting this like LSU's defense. We don't know what they are. They don't know how to stop a running quarterback. They have all of these narratives because it did happen. But that was you could say mitigating circumstance. It is still shocking to me, the fact that you couldn't come up with a game plan. But shit started to roll downhill. It all kind of fell on top of you. Great crowd at Kyle Field. All of that goes into it. Now all of that is on your side. And like you said, you forget about the first 2.5 quarters where LSU's defense was so good, they got the man thrown out the club.
Yep.
So that's more where my mind is, because there's a part of everybody that still thinks, oh, it's Alabama. I don't think that anymore. Like, it's not a Nick Saban team that's ready and actually wants to be in Tiger Stadium. He had them on such a level of, like, we're going in here and we're kicking their fucking ass and we're getting out of town, and this is what we do. I don't know if DeBoer got that dog in him yet. And I think that LSU is ready for, hey, we got to silence some of these critics about our defense, what we can and can't do, and I think LSU is better offensively.
Agreed. Now, I want to say a couple things about Kalen DeBoer and, like,
DeBoer.
not having the dog in him, right? I get that. That's easy to say. This man wins everywhere he goes, right? He's not Nick Saban. There's not going to be another Nick Saban. I understand all of that. But let's not underestimate Kalen DeBoer. And now, obviously, we're not playing. I would imagine the guys on the field aren't underestimating them because they've seen it on film, they've done stuff. But as a fan's perspective, like, you can't walk in here and just assume, oh, Nick Saban's not there, we're just going to win. They're still a good team. They're still very talented guys, and Kalen DeBoer does win wherever he's been. Now, is he Nick Saban? No. Have they had their issues this year and grow up? Absolutely. And I don't think that they are head and shoulders or they are the big bad wolf anymore. I think they are just another good team in the SEC. But you still have to go and beat those good teams in the SEC, which you didn't do the last game you played. So I do feel better about it, but I do want to. I want them to have a sense of urgency about it and not feel like it's not the same team. I want them to treat it like it is the same team, and just prepare that way, which I think that they're doing. Right. This is more for the fans' perspective. How do you feel, Jay?
Very seldomly over the past however many years has LSU been able to get to this game, and realistically, like there is a lot of chatter that's going on around the game and outside of the game for what the game is, but there's never been a spot, in my opinion, where LSU is able to get to this game outside of maybe, I don't know, like 11, maybe like 19 when those teams were rolling, right? Where you get to this game and there is a world, even with 2 losses, where you can look at what you did with A&M and realize, like, that should have never happened. And the way we played is not indicative for the team that we actually are. We didn't really prepare at all for a running quarterback, and that showed in the second half. The shit that we prepared to do, the shit that we prepared for who we are, that's what showed up in the first half, and it had Kyle Stadium
Right. Great point.
iced.
Great
right?
point.
So I do think that this team has an opportunity to, if they approached it in the sense of, it doesn't really matter who's on the other side of us. We have an opportunity here, being where we are, where this game's not over. This isn't going to be, hopefully, a weather-inclined game where things are going on. None of that shit's going on. Who we are in this building, who we are as a team, we've shown what we can do. Now it's time to go in a playoff setting, which we all know it is, but it's win or bust from here on out.
Yeah.
Can you go be that team that you kind of started building up to, that team that showed up the first half under what you actually prepared to do? Can you go be that team for 4 quarters?
100%.
And then obviously after this one's over, again the next week. But I think this has been a first time in a while where you look at this game and it's like, this is us. It's not about Alabama. Like, we don't
100%.
have it's not a undefeated Alabama walking in here where it's the big bad wolf. I'm not saying it's not Alabama, but they're not undefeated, right? And you don't feel like they got nothing to lose and you got everything to lose if you lose this game. Like, y'all are both in the same boat. It's the same type of situation. You know you didn't put your best foot forward for 4 quarters and we know why, right? You didn't just get beat. We know why.
Right.
So I think this team it's a very –
They shouldn't have
it's
lost
more
any
of a-
confidence.
Yeah,
from
it's
that.
like it's more of a confidence feel than
Yep.
anything than like a loss of.
Yep.
To me, like, I think you can, if you're true about how you prepared about that game as a coaching staff, I think you're able to look at them and tell them, like, this is on us.
Yeah.
The A&M game. This is not your fault.
Yeah.
And we're gonna fix this going forward. And I think that group of kids is able to understand, like, yeah, we better than that, and we shouldn't have that loss. We should still be a top 10 team. Time to go show it.
Yeah.
I think that's where they're at.
And look, another, like I said, we're not going to get all into this because we've already done it, but I want to hit on some key points. Another, I guess, example of Alabama not being the same as they've been with Saban, right? Alabama averages 80 yards in penalties a game, right? That's not, you never saw that with Saban. Alabama's put the ball on the ground 10 times, 10 fumbles. They've lost 5 of them. And then obviously the interceptions that, Milroe has thrown up to this point, right? If you switch to the other side, LSU averaging about 50 yards in penalties a game, right? So 30 less. They have put the ball on the ground twice and lost 1. Now, Nuss has had some interceptions over the last few games. That's obviously been talked about. But it's the penalty yardage and it's the amount of penalties that Alabama has had up to this point this year. It makes them a little bit different, right? Whereas you're in a hostile environment and you're loud, it's loud in Tiger Stadium. Some of those penalties can be the differentiator in the game. You may get pushed back. Instead of it being 3rd and 6, you may be 3rd and 16, and now all of a sudden you have to punt. Or you're about to go down there and you're right in the edge of field goal range and it's 4th and 1 and you get a false start, it's 4th and 6, now you kick the field goal and you miss it. Or you make it and you just leave 4 points on the board. I think that's going to be something to look at, right? And to Jared's point, LSU should have a lot of confidence going in the game based off of how they've played. Not based off of who they're playing, based off of how they played and how they've prepared.
And it's an opportunity to learn from your mistakes. If the Marcel Reed thing never happens, then you're not
right.
You don't have the
We don't
same
know that
thing.
we have the whole.
Right.
Right.
And that's what I think is a huge factor in this game because Alabama ranks 66 in the country in 3rd down percentage, which when you get them in 3rd and long, they're great. And, I mean, this is good to go for a lot of teams. 3rd and short, they're one of the better teams in the country. 3rd and long, they struggle. They're outside the top 50 in 3rd and long situations. So this isn't an overcomplicated game plan. If you can force Milroe to make tough decisions in 3rd and longs and get pressure on the quarterback and put them behind the sticks consistently, and your offense goes out and scores, what I'm interested to see is Brian Kelly's decision making early in the game, because you saw what
How
happened.
aggressive is he going to be?
Yes, you saw what happened with Shane Beamer in South Carolina when they tried to take Alabama to task. He faked a punt. He went for it early on 4th down. All those things came back to bite him. They lost about 2 points.
And then you saw the last 2 games LSU's played, him not be quite as aggressive as he has been because he trusts his defense a little bit more. So didn't go for it as much, kicked the ball out and trust his defense to make the plays, and it's worked out, right? So we'll see kind of where he goes. And I feel like, based off of the conversations he's had, the interviews he's had, and what we've seen, I feel like he feels pretty good about where his team is and how they compare to Alabama and the other teams that they play, to where he feels comfortable enough, hey, let's play this game normal. Like that I would normally call it. I don't have to be any more aggressive or less aggressive than I want to be. Let's just play the game normally and go from there.
Well, I mean, he's kind of gone that route recently. And,
right.
I do think, I'm glad you brought him up. I think it'll be interesting to see, if they win the toss, will he take the ball or will he kick it? Will he let this crowd play up, or will he feel the need to kind of get out there and score first in that situation? I think that's going to give you a good idea of where he is mentally and how he feels about how he needs to attack this ball game.
And I don't agree with ever taking the football, but I guess I'll say I'll understand it from his perspective because of the team that you're playing. And if you can get out ahead to them early, they're a boom or bust team. If you can get a quick 3 and out, which I would rather do first and then get the ball, but if you can score, put them down 7-0, and then put them behind the sticks with that crowd behind you and you have a chance to go up 2 possessions immediately. That's where I could see where his brain could go that way, because he's an offensive-minded coach.
I agree, and we've talked about this, but I agree with the idea.
Very rarely works out that way.
In a game like this against Alabama, having the ability to have a 2-for-1 is huge, right? And you have a quarterback that also has the ability to go and run a 2-minute drill and get you down there. He's done it before. He's shown you he could do it, to go out and drive down there, get you some points, get the ball, and then have the momentum coming back in the second half. I like that ability to do that.
I'll say this too. You got to think about places like this. There isn't many places like this where there is such a home field advantage when the crowd is really charged up and in it, and we know what Death Valley is at night. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of places you can go where if I go out there and I put my defense on the field and they give it up, you're going to come back and the crowd's still going to really be in it. The crowd's never not going to be in it. Right. So with that being the case, if you have legit deafening earthquake registering type of effect in a crowd here, I don't care if we kicked it first and gave up 7 and came out and didn't score. Do you really think that crowd's not going to get back up when there's 8 minutes left in the first quarter still here? I promise you here it's different. Yeah. There isn't many places in the country like that. And so with that being said, it's if I don't have a offense where I feel like I put them on the field, you are going to get me 7. Not 3, not fourth and 1 from the 4. You're going to get me a legit ass-kicking 7. I'm putting the defense out there.
Yeah, and look.
Put the defense out there.
And there's not very many offenses that you can say that this year. I mean, maybe Miami would be one of them, but just historically, and those are elite offenses. 19 LSU, last year LSU. Those offenses, you put them on there, they're going to go and score a touchdown first possession. That's just it. This offense, good. Really good offense. They aren't that offense yet. And we knew that going in, they weren't going to be.
And I think that there's, especially with the crowd's going to be so charged.
Can you imagine? You get the ball. They get the ball. You take defense first. You defer. The first zone read that Jalen Milroe pulls and Savion Jones or Braden Swinson extends him out and you tackle him for a 2-yard loss. Can you imagine how loud, just because of what happened last game, can you imagine what that energy is going to be like? Damn, okay, they figured it out. Now, obviously, he's going to get his on some of them, but that momentum is a huge thing.
Whatever it's momentum that could come from a play that should be made, essentially,
100%.
Where it's the crowd, and that's a testament to LSU. They, as much as they don't know ball, they do know what they don't want to happen.
Right.
They are ready to. They can turn on you fairly quickly when they see something. If you pulled one and he went 80 on the first play, it'd be here we fucking go.
That's the only situation.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the only one. But other than that,
the only other way you take the crowd out of this is if you do receive and then you're on defense first at the start of the third quarter, not everybody's back in their seat. Alabama puts a drive together where your crowd wasn't there to be an influence.
They are going. Alabama's going to try first possession whenever they get it, first or second time they get it, or first time of the game or second after we get the ball, whatever it is. They are going to try to take the top off the defense, right? They're going to try to have the big play early in the game. Firmly believe that.
I do think, too, even more so than the past. Like, this has always just been like the Armageddon type of game where that's kind of how it's looked at. I do think even more so than the past, there is a understanding of the severity of the situation, meaning that I think people do understand, like, this isn't the game that at halftime we go take a piss, we go do whatever we got to do, and we come back 4 minutes into the third. You know, like, every play matters, and I think the fan base and the people around it understand that this is literally a do or die, win or go home, even though you have games left on the schedule, but you're going home type of situation. So I think it's going to even be approached differently in that side, in that sense of it from the fan base. Whereas if that's the case, put your defense on the field. You need them to be in the game for as many plays as possible. As many plays as possible.
I'm just comparing it to whether your defense is on the field for the first snap, which is 10. And then even if it's at a 7 in the third quarter with your defense out there, and you might be begging for a stop, it ain't going to be as loud as it is at the first kick.
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference to me. Like, you'll have 100 and how many ever thousand all right there with you. Third quarter might be 99,000.
That's right. I'll touch on it again, and that's kind of what I mean by this place. Like, there's only a handful of places like this in the country where you get to play it at night with all the pageantry that goes on pregame, with the amount of people that's here during the start of the game, all the drinking that goes on pregame.
Omar.
Don't lose that shit by telling the crowd sit down.
Right.
Makes no sense.
I almost don't care how good your offense is. Like, don't lose that by telling the crowd to sit down. I want them as charged as possible for as long as possible throughout the game.
Yeah.
I would rather be on the side where I feel like my offense has to tell you to be quiet as opposed to I got to get back up.
Yeah.
Because we chose to go offense first. So that's kind of how I see this place.
Yeah, 100%. Right. It's gonna be. I'm looking forward. It's gonna be exciting. Rain's gonna stay away. Before we move on, I don't know if Bryce is in there yet or not. Before we get to him and we start talking about the gambling, let's put a bow on the LSU Alabama conversation and end it with the gambling side. Right. LSU is favored by 3 in some polls and some betting websites. 2.5 or not favored.
But say they're
3 point.
But say where you got that from?
3-point dogs in some of the betting websites. 2.5 in some of the others. The over/under is, I believe it's like 56.5, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? What do we like?
Over/under wise?
Both. Do we like anything in the betting line? And what do we think the final score is going to be? We haven't been good at the final score thing, but.
Well, Jared has nailed it a couple of times.
He's gotten real close.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's been a minute. But we're all in a little slump right now.
This kind of plays into the 3 points thing. Like, obviously, those 3 points don't matter to me because I don't care if I win my bet LSU and LSU pushes.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't care about the points. I don't know if it's even correct because I do think that this is kind of it feels like a little bit like a trap. Like, it smells like if you're looking at this from an outsider's perspective and it wasn't LSU Alabama, if it's just a nondescript team, I don't know what that point spread would be. I think they're playing into the fact that it's LSU Alabama, talking from Vegas's perspective. So they probably put the number on the other side to see if they could bait you into betting it.
So you think that it should be? You think LSU should be bigger dogs, or you think it's the other way?
No, I think it's the other way.
You think LSU should be most favored? Maybe.
Yes, I think it should be closer to a pick'em. But this is about actually like 1.5 would have been fine. But I do. One more thing, and this has gambling tied into it because it has points. I wonder if after what happened at A&M with the kick game.
That's the other thing. We haven't really touched on that.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yep.
You saw what happened at Arkansas where he took the points consistently. You go, 4 for 4 on field goals, and that was how you were able to separate yourself and never let Arkansas get back in it because that's two possessions right there that you did. You want touchdowns, but when you get close enough, and that's where I think the deciding factor is, I don't want to see if it's a 48, 50-yard field goal, that's when I'm okay. If it's 4th and 4, go for it.
And
anything inside 45, kick it.
Here's what I'm saying about that. I don't think it's more Brian Kelly not having faith in
I'm just saying
Ramos.
Last thing, yeah.
It's the operation leading to Ramos was the issue. right? It wasn't Ramos didn't miss the kicks, but it was the operation that led to the kick.
Bad holds, bad
That was
snaps.
bad, right? So I think he's got confidence in putting Ramos so that to make the field goals. It's just, does he have they shored up the other shit to make him confident in putting it out
When
there?
you talk about the kicking game, what I want to know is in the situations like this, because like you said, the other shit wasn't so shored up, but the kicks weren't not that far off the margin. Now, I'll bring this up in a game where it feels like every point you need. I'm interested to see when we get to these third down situations, what are the kind of calls? Like, are we trying to find ways to get towards the middle of the field if we're on the hashes? Because if we're going to have to kick from hash to hash, and we've had these kind of problems already in the past, or this recently in the past, those are the kicks that you miss, right? So, like, are we making calls to say, like, hey, even if we don't get it, maybe there's a chance that we're more towards the middle of the field? I'm not sitting here saying, like, run in the middle of the field and fall, but, like, are we trying to find our way to get towards the middle of the field, or are we trying to stay on the hashes?
And you're going to start seeing, depending on the flow of the game, you're going to start seeing play calls, right? When they get to a certain range of those borderline field goals, are they going to start calling plays, hey, this is no doubt 4-down territory. So we're going to start, hey, we're 3rd and 9, let's get to 4th and 3 so we can go for it on 4th down. Right? I don't know if that's going to be the case. It's all dependent upon if they feel confident with the operations that they got with the special team stuff. So going to be interesting. Score prediction before we get to Bryce. I don't know if he's there. Is he there yet?
I just texted him. He's going to grab. He said he is in.
Okay. Before we get to him, let's get the score prediction, and then we'll just let him back into it.
Hold on. Let me see. I think I have to send him another Zoom
fine.
real quick.
Jay, what do you got for the score prediction?
Score prediction for this game.
Well, he didn't want to bet the lines. Do you like the over? Do you like the under?
No, I don't like the over-under. I do like the lines, but I do like once again, I talked about it already, and I have that same feel. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw LSU win this game by 6. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a 7-point win. It's been a long time since I've felt that way, whether LSU's here and or on the road playing against them. I just wouldn't be surprised. I think what they saw themselves able to do on the road against that A&M team, knowing what they did not prepare for, I feel like that puts them in a spot where they almost didn't. You got to a top 10 team, they were feeling good, floating, flying around, playing fast, and then you took a test that you did not study for, basically, right? And then in that case, they're like, oh, wow,
no wonder for the wrong chapter,
we failed it. Right, we failed it. We skipped that one chapter, and they really put it on the test. Like, shit. Yeah. I didn't think they would do that. And I think once they saw that, they kind of felt like, man, we would have beat them by 4 touchdowns had we really prepared for it.
Yeah.
And so I think it gave them a different level of, I think we actually are pretty real. And I think that confidence kind of shows up in the game that they play tonight. So that's where I look at it. If I had to go with a score, man, I'm going to go 38-34.
LSU. 38-34. Okay.
Yep.
I have LSU consistently in the 30s.
Me too.
38-34 sounds great. I would venture on that side. I think they're going to kick a field goal or 2, so I'm trying to get to that number. So 37.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go with the other one? Because I was going that too.
37-34.
Okay. I'm on Jared's side.
I don't think that's right at all. But
I'm on Jared's side of I can see this being a 6-7 point game. I'm going 37-30.
Okay.
I'm going to go 37-30 LSU.
37-31, then I'm changing my mind.
That's what I was actually going to go
for.
That's what I was actually going to go for it. All right. Those are good. Let's see if we get one. We haven't got one all year. Jared got really close.
We've been good on the LSU score.
We've been good on the LSU score.
And I don't want to, because I do think if LSU gets in a track meet, I think they can win that race.
I agree.
But I know Alabama's explosive, but I trust LSU to be able to.
I think it's going to come down to a couple of big plays on the defensive line for LSU. I think making a couple big game-changing plays where they have some momentum, sack, or stop them in the backfield, make them punt, that type of thing.
It'll be a 3rd down ball game.
Yeah. Let's see what Bryce has to say. Bryce, we appreciate you joining the show. Hopefully, all volume, everything.
Should be
we're all good.
We'll
we're good. We've been working.
Yeah.
We're good. Bryce, welcome to the show, man.
What's up, man? How y'all doing?
We're doing great. We haven't gotten to the gambling conversation. We talked a little LSU. We're going to talk a little LSU with you, but this is Friday's show. It's a little bit more about the gambling side and college football side. But before we get into that, we had a score predictions. Let me get your score prediction of the LSU game, and I want you to tell me a couple keys that you are watching this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening a little bit to what you guys were talking about right when I came into the show. Lloyd, I think you said that you consistently have LSU in the 30s. I kind of waffled between if I wanted to make this a high-scoring game or if I really felt like this is something where the offenses might struggle a little bit. We could see some type of, defensive battle to where, maybe both sides make some momentum-shifting type of plays. Both teams are, prone to making mistakes in their each way, I should say, offensively. So I actually I've got Alabama winning this one close.
Hey, I like what you're doing there. No, I like what you're doing. I love what you're doing right there. I love that. We need that.
This maybe it's a conversation starter, at the very least. But this is kind of where I sit with this. And you mentioned the keys. Like, I've got Alabama winning this one close. For me, the two factors in this game is Garrett Nussmeier's decision-making process. Is it just a result of the road environment in College Station? Is it just a result of, just kind of the avalanche effect of that entire second half?
There you go.
And then the second part of it is like we know what Milroe can do when he's improvising. Everyone knows that when he goes to play backyard football. The impact of this defensive line could be negated if they rush past the quarterback. And I feel like that's something we saw a decent amount of in Texas A&M game. We've seen at times when they get undisciplined. Look, we've got, LSU's got great ends. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Savion Jones has been very good this season. Braden Swinson, one of the best in the country. But when they rush past a guy like Milroe and he feels like he can step up in the pocket and make some things happen, that makes me nervous. And then I kind of go back to the fact, kind of the third point, if he gets comfortable throwing the football, guys, I don't know what your take is on this. I think he's one of the top four most unguardable players in college football.
For sure. When he
like that first half against Georgia, Georgia's defense is one of the best in the country.
Right.
That first half against Georgia, I don't think anybody could have stopped Jalen Milroe, what he wanted to do with his arm and his legs.
Absolutely, and we agree with that. He's the most explosive player, potentially the most athletic player in all of college football. But you mentioned Nussmeier's turnovers over the last weekend, last couple weeks. Jalen Miller's had some too. He's had some turnover issues this year. He's thrown a lot of interceptions. He's putting the ball in harm's way a little bit more. He has had big games on the ground. He's also had duds on the ground, right? So I think to your point, I think the defensive line for LSU, to me, is the biggest key because are they going to be able to contain him like some of the other teams have been able to? Vanderbilt was able to contain Milroe, right? Are they going to be able to do that, keep him in there, and make some game-changing plays on the defensive side? Because I do believe on the offensive side of LSU, I believe that it just kind of was a perfect storm for A&M. It was just the avalanche of things happening, and it was just you couldn't stop the ball from rolling downhill. And I believe that that's probably going to be better for them in the long run.
Yeah, and to that point a little bit of what you mentioned about the avalanche effect, I mean, look, Alabama's secondary is better than where they have been, 4 or 5 games ago. But, when you really look at it, this is one of the worst teams in the SEC in terms of sacks. And I understand sack is not the end-all, be-all stat to use for pressure. We have all these different numbers we can utilize. But sacks is in terms of, hitting the guy and being able to finish off a pass rush or a pressure. They're one of the worst in the SEC statistically, just 18 of them this season. So, if they keep Nussmeier upright, he could torch this Alabama secondary, which is to me the weakness of the defense. I mean, they're better than they've been over the course of but also you got to take into account like Missouri's been a dud. So Missouri, what we thought they were going to be with Brady Cook in that receiving core, it's not been anything close to that. So that game to me is really kind of hard to look at because I've liked what LSU has done, especially in the middle of the field with the passing game. I think it's really hard to guard LSU. So luckily, pass pro is elite for this offensive line. If you keep him upright, that's going to be a big factor. And then you mentioned Milroe's mistakes. To me, it's all the run game. Like I know, and like my coworker, he's very much going with the Ryan Williams effect. Okay, like you have Bernard, the other receiver out there as well. They've got weapons on the outside, but to me, like, Ryan Williams is going to get his because he's just a tremendous athlete and a tremendous player. Like, you're not going to shut him down. Kind of like what happened to LSU last year in their losses. Like, they knew Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas were going to be able to get theirs. This comes down to, can you bottle up this run game enough where you force Milroe to throw the football? That if he beats you throwing the football, I mean, it'd be unfortunate, but to me that's the easier path to a win.
From the pocket.
Because if you let these guys, from the pocket, very true. That's the easier path to a win for LSU because you've got to make him stick in the pocket. If you let these guys start running wild, guys like Jam Miller, who's a talented running back, if he really starts to get some confidence in this game, man, that to me starts to get to the point of where it's the snowball effect, the avalanche effect of where, I don't know, I think Milroe and Alabama, they're an intriguing offense because once they start rolling, it's really hard to grab back a hold of the rope and rein them back in.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing to do. And I'm not saying it can't be done on Saturday, but I'd much rather be sitting here next week talking with you guys about the fact that LSU never let any tension out of the rope. And they were just suffocating like they did against Ole Miss a little bit in that game.
So I want to bring this up to you just because you've had a chance to be in the building. You've gotten a feel of some of it, and you've kind of seen these guys move around and talk around a little bit. But obviously one of the hotter topics has been Nussmeier and what is he going to do, how is he going to react, and how is he going to go about things. I want to know where you think he'll be in this game because the way I see it is someone who is a son of a coach, who's been around ball all of his life, who's been able to be on the sidelines and watch really good players play in front of him, and then now gets this opportunity, right? Now, with this opportunity, there's still growth that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You get on the field is a lot different than you playing in garbage time. You being a starter, starting, and you doing these things is a lot different than what else has happened. Well, you getting punched in the mouth for the first time is a lot different than everything else that has happened as well. And that avalanche effect really took place last week or 2 weeks ago when they played A&M. Getting to understand and know his personality a little bit more, how do you think he bounces back in a situation like this where all the chips are on the table and you are going to be in one of the brightest spots? How do you think he comes back on this situation?
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points, Jared, when you mentioned the fact that, mentally you can have these mental reps in practice. And I think in terms of situational football, this is a kid that arguably across the country has had so many mental reps both on the practice field, but also in situations due to his upbringing, his background, and what he's been around the past couple of years. I mean, he got to watch Jay Daniels, obviously win that game 2 years ago. He got to watch Jay Daniels walk into Tuscaloosa last season in what was a crazy environment. But like you said, there's a difference when it's you. You can only pump so much music into practice. You can only create so many, I don't want to say use the word fake, but you know what I'm saying? Like these environments that you can only simulate those things so well until you really get into the game atmosphere where the speed is 10 times different than anything you see in practice. It's just it's overwhelming. And I'll say this, I think that's where a lot of fans tend to, and I get it, these guys make money, you want to be hypercritical of them. This is really hard to do. Like this is a really hard thing to do as a quarterback and play in this conference week in and week out. So, talking with Nussmeier this week, I will say that he is one of the, I think, and this helps with his upbringing or maybe caused because of it, very good at the coach speak. I mean, he is a mouthpiece of what Brian Kelly wants to say, and that's cool. I mean, that's cool. I get it. I didn't ask him a question on Wednesday because knowing that you're not really going to get a lot out of it. But he did kind of hint, and he has the same mentality as like, I've got to play better. Look, we all know that. Everyone knows that. He said, but we've got to have control over the controllables. And that was something as he was walking away, I did ask him that. I said, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? And he just you said, there's a lot of things within the game of football. And he mentioned that he had learned this from his dad, that are outside of your control. That you can't dictate what happens every single play. That's why control freaks, whether it's a coach or a player, struggle in this game because there's so many factors. The ball can bounce so many different ways. And he said this game's like that. There's going to be a situation where it doesn't go your way. You might get a big turnover defensively. And he said our offense might come out. We might go 3 and out immediately. How do you deal with that? And he just talked about the importance of staying even-keeled and realizing you're never out of the game. And I asked him, I said, okay, so follow-up to that. Does the Ole Miss game provide a data point of what you're describing, of never feeling like you're out of it, not getting too high or too low, and just continuing to plug along? And he said that's exactly what it is. He said, you never single out one game in particular, but that Ole Miss game is a data point for this team that when you stay the course, amidst everything. Hey, something doesn't go your way, you drop an interception, you nearly let up a opening drive touchdown to Trey Harris. Like all of these different factors, when you just keep playing the next play, you're probably going to have a chance in the fourth quarter to go win it. And that's how these games typically come down to, right? I mean, you look at the history of this rivalry, regardless of the records coming in, it feels like that fourth quarter, final 10 minutes of the game is where it's really decided. So to me, the mental capacity for him to understand that with what you mentioned about, getting punched in the mouth, and not just once. Punched over and over again. They were a punching bag in that fourth quarter against Texas A&M. For him to come back and say, okay, you have to wipe that clean. Today's a new day. This is a new week. I thought it was really kind of interesting to hear him talk about that Ole Miss game as the data point that this team can go back to. Hey, when we do X, Y, and Z, you got a pretty good shot of getting the result that you want.
And I think it's fair to say, like, you had the Ole Miss game before, and maybe it's just like any kid. Like, until you go through it, you really don't know the feeling of it. So you have the kind of blunders that you did last week, and the Ole Miss game is what it is. It was great. It felt great, but you never got punched in the mouth like you did. You didn't throw one goofy interception and then come back to the sideline, go back out there and throw another goofy interception, and then hear people just wearing you out. People respond differently to those situations, and when it's the first time in front of 100,000+ people, you may try to do a little too much. You may try to force yourself into the situation a little bit more, which only makes it tougher. So I do think going through that and then now having 2 weeks to kind of understand that, and like you said, being able to go back to the Ole Miss side of it, because remember, when he threw the goofy interception against Ole Miss, you're at home. You're not hearing that. When you throw it against Texas A&M, that's all you're hearing. That's the only thing you're hearing. So I do think this situation that happened 2 weeks ago is the first time it's like, all right, it ain't as bad as what I thought it was going to be. I know how to get through these things now, and I'm wondering if he's going to be able to bring that to the game this week.
Well, and I'll add this real quick, too, to your point, Jared. That also could provide, obviously, LSU fans hope this. In his mind, that's as worse as it can get. You can't play much worse than he played in that second half. It's a nightmare scenario. It was an awful, 30 minutes or however you want to call it in terms of game time. That's what it was. And so you're hopefully, okay, if that's as bad as it's going to get, like you mentioned, on the road where that's all you're hearing, you come back to your bench, you don't have the LSU season ticket holders, that have been there for 70 years saying, all right, it's okay, something like that. No, you've got these kids screaming, breathing down your neck right behind you.
Talking
That's
reckless.
as bad as it's going to get. Talking reckless. Let me tell you, reckless talk on the sidelines over there. But you have all of that. So this game's at home. You might hear some of the boo birds if he throws an ill-advised, interception once or twice in this game. But what you experienced in College Station, I don't think it can get much worse.
No.
Now, people can clip that, and if it does, then it does. But I think coming into this game, it can't get much. That has to be rock bottom in terms of what you experience and not being able to climb out of the hole that you built for yourself. So, look, he's going to take some risks. That's who he is.
Yeah. Right. Which I'm okay with that.
Womack, Kane Womack of Alabama's defensive coordinator, which apparently his name is Kane Womack. Okay,
Womack.
Welcome to Alabama.
Womack.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Huntsville.
Anyways,
Huntsville.
So, yes.
There's no Ville.
He really talked about him being a lot like Brett Favre in that sense of Joker's going to throw some touchdowns, but he's going to make some mistakes, and you got to be able to kind of take advantage of that. And I don't think that was a backhanded compliment. I think if you take a step back, you take off the purple and gold.
Everybody's seen that.
You can understand that. You can understand that. So I don't know, man. I think that Jared, we can sit here and talk about so many factors in this game. It does come down to him. It just does.
Well, I think
if he goes out there and lights it up, then they're going to be fine.
Yeah, and I think, before we move on to the rest of the college football conversation, I think what makes him so impressive is the fact that he does have that head on his shoulder. He has that mentality of a coach's son, understands what he's trying to do. Obviously, he has the talent to go along with it. He's a first-year starter, but he doesn't have first-year mindset, right? The way he reads a defense, approaches a game plan, the way he kind of forgets different things, the way he can go out there throwing 3 interceptions and come back and still have that same confidence. I think that's a rare quality to have. That's something that you develop as years and years of starting and games of starting, and he's been able to have that. It's an innate ability that he grew up with, and I think that's what makes him so impressive. I think that's what makes him such a good pro prospect. Outside of the arm talent, outside of the ability to make all the throws he can make, the mindset that he's got, and I think that's going to bode well this weekend, tomorrow. So, okay, so we have LSU winning. You have Alabama winning. What do you have the actual score being?
Yeah, I had the final score being 34-31.
Yeah,
I had
flipped.
changed it.
Heartbreak.
Oh, you changed it?
I think this is. I had changed it from original one. So I actually, what was the spread still 3.5, or did it drop down to 2?
It's just 3.
It's 3.
Just straight at 3.
It's just 3. Okay, straight at 3. I actually had Alabama covering that. To be honest with you, I mean, I was so I was so nervous about watching them. It's probably a little bit of PTSD being inside Bryant-Denny last year and watching Milroe just do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
And I get that it's a different defense, but you have to acknowledge that the kid's still electric. So I actually had them winning the game at first 33-24.
Whoa.
Alabama. I did. I had them kicking a late field goal to kind of go up by 2 possessions. And then I really started to think about it. I don't think that Alabama is going to be able to contain the offense for the entire 60 minutes in terms of LSU's offense. I think they're going to be able to get theirs, but obviously a lot of that hinges on the run game, which you've got to have some sort of semblance of a run game. You cannot ask Nussmeier to throw the ball 50 times and let out – because I told you, Alabama's not good at sacking the quarterback. 13th in the SEC in that category. Don't give them a reason to bump up into the top 10 when we come out with the new rankings next week in terms of that. Because if you do, if they get 3 or 4 sacks in this game, okay, we can talk about losing individual battles, but it's really going to come down to the fact that the LSU can't run the ball. So these guys don't have to care about it. And that's what A&M was able to do 2 weeks ago.
And you should be able to run the ball against an Alabama team that's giving up 145 yards a game, which I don't think people are talking about because everybody looks at the other side. If LSU can't run it, they've gone up against some pretty stout defenses and haven't been able to get it going.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, LSU played against South Carolina. At this point, we can all say that's an NFL front 7. They've got multiple NFL-type bodies on that front. Ole Miss has a really good one. You know, I didn't think Arkansas was a bad defensive line, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think they were tops in the SEC, but they're respectable in what they've been able to do. So, yeah, it's just such a hit-or-miss thing. And, you know, you have to hope, too, to the point, you know, Lloyd, that Caden Durham's 100%. Like, are these broken toes that he's been battling? If he's 100%, man, unleash the kid.
Yeah, because
like, hey, here it is, and let it fly. Like, and I'll throw this in here, Mikey, before I throw it back to you. I know a lot of people have been frustrated with the play calling at times of Joe Sloan. If there's a bullet left in the chamber in this game, I'll be disappointed. In terms of this is it. If you lose this game, let's all get prepared to go to Orlando for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Like that's what's going to happen.
Electric.
If you win this game, then let's start talking about, okay,
hosting
the next 3 and find yourself the playoff.
Yeah, and host.
This is it. Yeah, maybe you get to host. So Joe Sloan, you cannot have a bullet left in the chamber here. Like there's no excuse for it. You better walk out of that stadium, win or lose, knowing, hey, we went through the whole tool bag. Like this is it. We went through everything and let the cards fall.
And if Jaden Daniels,
that would be awesome.
I wish you had Jaden Daniels. If Caden Durham is 100%, right? The last game that he was really probably 100% was that South Carolina game, and that's arguably one of our better running games of the season, right? He came out there in the second half, and he kind of lit the world on fire. If we have that and we get that ability, LSU's proven they can do it against a really good front 7. Alabama's front 7 numbers-wise isn't as good as South Carolina's, and so if they were able just to stay disciplined, and we and Jared talked about it, a lot of the running game happens because 1 or 2 things don't go the right way in the scheme. It's not like they're a total collapse in the running game. It's, hey, 1 block was missed that needed to be made, and if it made it, it was a 6-7 yard run. Now instead of not being made, it's a 1 yard loss, right? That's like the margins in that type of running game. So they've shown that they can do it. Let's just hope they have it. Let's hope it shows up this weekend.
He just can't give up on it so quickly.
Right. That's the other thing.
And now the sidebar too is
you have to stay with it.
I do think there's a world in, like, we talk about the run game, and the run game is real. It needs to be a thing. I do think there's a world in where LSU can win this game, and they can do what they need to do offensively by Nussmeier throwing the ball 50 times. It just won't be him pushing the ball down the field as much. I do think there's a world if they choose to do it by using the screen games, by using the wide screens and stuff like that, to be able to get some semblance of a run game by doing it that way. I do think if they choose to and are doing stuff like that, there's a possibility to where it could be 50 throws. It just won't be the average depth of target like we're used to seeing in the last couple of games where he's pushed it down the field that much, and it hasn't been as successful as we want it to be. Or as efficient, I should say.
It's gonna be electric. I think the rain's gonna stay away, which we're looking forward to it. Obviously, game day is gonna be there. Looking forward to that. Hadn't had that since 2019. So hopefully, we're talking next week with you, Bryce, about how LSU won the game and what their postseason, the playoff picture looks like going into the next few weeks. So, but because you like to dabble in the same game that we like to dabble in, let's have a conversation about the gambling / college football world, right? Any games in particular that you like, and then we'll go through our parlay, our mic'd up parlay, and you can rate the games that we put on that.
Yeah, no, I've been looking at this, and I was actually reading some stuff on, just like specific weird bets, I guess we could say. Iowa has only gone under one time this season.
Crazy.
And
Crazy.
I'm going off what someone, and I'm correct in that, I believe. Like that they've only hit the under one time this season. Iowa, UCLA's playing a lot better. Ethan Garbers has looked like a pretty good quarterback for the Big Ten. They found a little bit of a running game. The Iowa UCLA over-under is at 44.5, and I'm almost tempted to take that. It's pretty low, and so we'll see what happens with it. But the fact that Iowa's only gone under one time this season, thank God, because I refuse to acknowledge Iowa as a football team until they got rid of the nepotism they had at their offensive coordinator's spot. That was just a disservice to college football. So I don't mind that. Iowa UCLA over 44.5. Looking elsewhere, kind of across the landscape of college football, I know I got a buddy who's really high on this. I took Navy guys last week, minus 11.5.
Yeah, we did
Rice.
too. We did too.
Just, I mean, you know what, though? We should all get our money back because when you go through a storm and all this type of delay stuff, that messes you up.
No doubt.
So I might double down on Navy this week.
We did too. We did too.
At South Florida. Okay, so Navy minus 3.5. I don't hate that. I feel like Vegas has kind of said after that loss to Notre Dame, we're kind of reverting back to the mean. I think they can cover 3.5 points. And then I had one more. Let me go here. I'm intrigued by this. Clemson, Virginia Tech. Clemson's going on the road in Blacksburg. I'm guessing I've been up there one time. Guys, that environment is unbelievable. I'm not going to take it away from what we're going to get to experience Saturday night, but people can also understand there's really good environments across college football.
Right.
Blacksburg is going to be rocking for this game. This is a marquee game. They still have a slight chance at the ACC title for Virginia Tech, and obviously Clemson coming in there, fresh off a loss. Is this a bounce back game? I don't know, but it's Clemson minus 5.5. I'm kind of leaning towards taking Virginia Tech to cover that. I think the Hokies can make life tough for them. I'm not saying Clemson's going to win, but I think it could be a very close game, like a 3 to 4 point game.
Yeah.
So that line actually has gone down. I should have got in on it. It was like 7.5, I think, on Sunday. So that's kind of those are my three that I'm looking at this week.
Dabo couldn't vote. They're kicking him out the state.
Yeah, but then he voted.
That's ridiculous.
Then he figured it out. Florida, is DJ Lagway going to play? I know there's rumors he's questionable. And if he plays, is it like a ticking time bomb? Hey, he's going to play until he's not playing anymore, or he's just not going to play?
I talked with, obviously the news that came out yesterday about Billy Napier. I talked to one of our Florida writers for 24/7 Sports and what his thoughts were on about it. He said that they're being very hush-hush about it. It really does sound like Lagway's injury is not as serious as they thought it would be. But what is it's all going to come down to how effective he can be. And so they were apparently going to test that in a walkthrough. Now, I'm not familiar with guys' schedules of leaving and when that happens. I imagine, they leave today and they'll do some sort of walkthrough at the stadium tonight maybe. That game's out. Yeah, that's an 11 a.m. kickoff. So, for me, I think it's going to come down to kind of how Lagway feels, and they're going to see what that is. If not, I mean, that's 21.5 points. That's what I got at that.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. If he's playing, yeah, exactly. And Florida's been playing better, but I can't risk the fact that he's going to go out there and then second possession, hammy flares up and he's out, right? Because listen to me.
You don't have faith in Aiden Warner?
Well,
here's 7 of 22.
Here's part of why I don't have faith either. Because whenever you get the golf cart to come and get you off the middle of the field and you can't walk back into the locker room, and then you are potentially playing the next day, that means that the likelihood of it kind of flaring up and you not being able to play pretty high, because you can't even walk into the locker room to go out and you're still not out for the next week. So I'm not on that. I just talked myself out of it. I'm not going to touch that bet.
Well, and with Billy Napier being secure in his job, he has no real reason to play the future that he has secured for him. He wants Lagway to be the starter next year, so I could see them kind of punting. I could see them punting on it. I'm sure that they were the ones that are like, go get the cart for Lagway. That's our special boy. And then now that you don't have to worry
He got
about your
on the card,
job,
though, Coach. That's
yeah,
the
well, you
problem.
shoo him away,
I said I'm walking.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
He got on the card. That's the problem.
and they put a knee brace on him. It's a very bizarre situation, but I wouldn't touch it because I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to. If there's any slight look of him not looking healthy, he's going to get pulled.
I'm not touching it because, like I said, hammies are that finicky.
Yep.
Right? You go out with
You've
a
had one.
hammy, and the next week we don't know if you're going to play.
You think they're gonna put the fake hammy on?
I
him?
just, I mean, they should. The
You
fake hammy
it
works.
worked great
Fake
for you.
hammy works. I can tell you
great for
that.
you.
Shot the bull out right there. Fake hammy works. But my point is like, yeah, like if he's out in the second quarter, that team's completely different.
It's a
Yeah.
live bet
It's completely
scenario.
different.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, Rice. The big game in the SEC is Georgia at
Right.
outside of LSU Alabama is Georgia at Ole Miss. Georgia's only favored by 2.5. We haven't seen that from a Georgia team in the lines in a long time. How do you feel about that one?
What do you guys just mentioned? I don't know who said it. Live bet. I'm live
That's
betting
Lloyd.
Georgia in this one.
Yeah.
Because
Lloyd's a
Georgia
big live
has
bet guy.
fallen behind so much this season to where I think you could make some money if you see that line shift live. Obviously,
Yeah.
you could find it Georgia money. Like I might throw something on the Georgia money line like halfway through the second quarter if they're down, just because I think that number is going to be pretty favorable. Then obviously when you look at the spread, I'll be interested to see what the new spreads come out as the game goes on. But I think that Georgia Ole Miss game is a live bet in favor of Georgia because. And I'm not saying I think Ole Miss could win the game outright. Like I think there's a path for them to go do it. But I'm almost interested in entering this territory, guys. I don't know how you feel about this with Georgia, where as soon as you start to count them out,
Yeah.
There it is.
Kirby Smart manufactures that stuff just like Nick
There
Saban
it
used
is.
to,
Yep.
and it's kind of thing. So this feels like it's a perfect opportunity for Georgia to go in there and
Yeah.
kind of do what they did to
Wait,
Texas,
look-
just completely suffocate them.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I personally don't think it's a suffocation game. I do think this is a fireworks game. Make no mistake about it. Ole Miss's
Yeah.
offense is good. It's efficient. They play it well. They know what they're doing with it. But when I see somebody like Carson Beck, who is tabbed the way he is and the kind of prospect that he is, right? And we've seen him play the way he's played over the last 3 weeks. You got to think about it. 4 out of the last 5 weeks, this man has thrown 11 picks in 4 out of the last 5 weeks. There is no way in hell anyone that's in this conversation is going to sit here and tell me that that's what you expect to continue to go. So with the experience that he has, I feel that this is a game where everybody knows what it is in the sense of how important it is for both of these teams. I think this is a game where he and that offense goes out and plays really well. And the defense, whether they give up a crazy amount of points or not, they shut the door and Georgia kind of shows up and says, hey, we're still here. But I think Ole Miss's offense is good enough to make it a competent ball game. I just don't see him continuing to do that.
Yeah.
I'll agree real quick to that, Jared, because I was having a conversation with somebody we had on our show who covers Georgia, and I asked him kind of what you talked about there, how much longer is this going to continue for him? And I think it's, a lot like, Nussmeier to a certain extent. It's just a nightmare situation. This is the worst stretch of football Carson Beck has probably ever played. Okay,
He's played a lot of football, too. That's the biggest part about it, too.
Yeah, his middle school team, his high school team. This is probably as bad as you get. So you get to learn in this Ole Miss game. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Y'all watch out for national media. If Carson Beck goes in there and throws for 315 to 350, 3 or 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, they're going to be drooling over Georgia because that's all that. If you are a national media, if you're a Georgia fan or something like that, the only thing I think the playoff and people need to see, because they love Georgia and I get that, is they need to see Carson Beck go out there and just dice somebody up with complete confidence. If he does that in this game, they're going to be all over Georgia.
No doubt.
And you'll see that media, the hype train really start to pick up as, okay, there's your SEC favorites. If Georgia goes in there and beats them pretty handily.
And I think that has a lot to do with people thinking that, this isn't the same Georgia team. Like I said, 5 weeks, 11 turnovers just from the right arm of Carson Beck. Yeah, I promise you're going to play a lot more closer ball games when he's giving it up like that. I just don't continue to think he's going to keep doing that.
Do you think there's any chance you see Jaden Rashada?
No, I don't. Unless he throws another 3. But
I don't even know if he's, and maybe I'm wrong here. I don't even know if he's truly the backup.
I don't know that he is either.
I don't know that it's a foregone conclusion that he's the backup. Now, I think he's probably more talented than Gunnar Stockton. But, it would have to be like nails on chalkboard type of bad for him to take Carson Beck out of the game. Kirby Smart loves Carson Beck. And he's loyal. That's the one thing Georgia fans, if they have a qualm, when Georgia's not I want to say playing good. They played so well the past so many years, but when they lose and things look kind of rough, they really lean into, well, Kirby Smart's too loyal to his players, which that's just something I think for fans to really pick apart. If they don't get their way.
That's too much.
They're a hazard on the road.
I do think it's funny too because we talk about this and the scope of it is like it's such a different Georgia team, but outside they don't have another loss. They lost to Alabama. Every other win since then in this bad stretch, they're all double-digit wins.
Yeah, right. Right.
Like they're all double-digit wins still.
Right.
And it goes to what you're saying, Jared. Like if he doesn't turn the ball over that much, they're blowing these teams
They're blowing them out.
Like it's
Exactly.
not even close.
Exactly.
So it's like if you fix this small thing, then it's the Georgia everyone thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and it's not something that hasn't been. Like, you've seen the other side of it, right? Like you've seen him actually play really well. So yeah, I'm with you all on that. Last game before we get to our parlay and we can talk it through. It's not SEC. I think it's an interesting game. A lot of people feel like Indiana got disrespected in the first top 25. I don't believe that. I think they're in a position that 8. That's fine. They haven't done anything. They haven't really played anybody that's really worth a shit so far. I think they've played 1 or 2 teams with a winning record at 5-4. Michigan's not great. They're playing at Indiana. It's 14.5-point line. I think I kind of like Michigan to cover that. I'm not saying they're going to beat Indiana, but I think I like Michigan to cover that.
I don't hate that. The thing about Indiana is that, yeah, you're right. They haven't played really high-level competition, but they're beating the brakes off of these teams. And you do have to give them credit for that. I think that's the one thing is like, okay, when you have a weak schedule, but you're beating a team 50-7, okay, like that means something if we're talking about beating somebody 24-14. So, yeah, Michigan plus 14.5. Ooh, that's
I like the hook. I like the hook.
Yeah, if it was 14 flat, I'm not taking that. But 14.5, like I could see Indiana winning this game 31-17, and everyone being fine with that. Like, okay, yeah, cool, that's a good win for Indiana, and people make some money off of Michigan.
He's got the same reasoning I have when I make my bets. I try to figure a score. What is it going to look like? And yeah, I'm the same way. All right.
This narrative that Indiana hasn't played anybody, they're playing the same schedule essentially as Ohio State. Why does Ohio State get all this credit? Like,
I think
they have common opponents in Nebraska and Indiana. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm looking at this thing in a vacuum. Indiana played Nebraska. Indiana 56, Nebraska 7. Ohio State played Nebraska 21-17.
I don't think you can vacuum this thing simply because of that. Like I think you can look at if you were looking at Ohio State and Penn State or Ohio State and Oregon, one of these teams like that. I think you can kind of look at it like that.
Yeah, I'm not.
But this is an Indiana team who we've never talked about on this level, so we don't look at them as that. I don't think you can look at those schedules like that because I think it's different when you've never been talked about like that, and then all of a sudden you start getting talked about like that. How do you respond?
And I'm not
to those
saying
kind of
they're going to
situations?
lose. I just think that Michigan cover the 14.5.
I don't know. I think you're kind of trying to say it as many times as you said it. You're not saying.
Oh
it.
no, I don't. I think
like Mikey has a problem with cursing.
No, I love. Listen,
Mikey
time out.
cursing.
I love Indiana. I've bet Indiana all year. I love Signetti. I love what they're
Who's
doing.
Who's going to have the better Google search result is what I want to know.
And I want
Mikie Mahtook or Kurt Signetti.
Kurt Signetti. And I look. I hope they are in the playoffs. I just don't know if they cover the 14.5. But we'll see.
They're in the Big Ten. That's what you have to start treating them like. Like it's
for sure. Like I'm not.
I just don't understand that. Just because you haven't heard of them before doesn't mean they can't.
I mean, they've been in the Big Ten though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but no, I'm talking. But now you've added Oregon and you've added multiple teams. I just feel like they're not getting respected as if they're in that conference. Like everybody has to play that same schedule.
Yeah, no, I'm not
so
disagreeing
you can't really,
with you.
I'm just saying you can't really argue Indiana doesn't play anybody. No one play anybody. They all play one hard game in conference.
Yep.
And it depends on you doing that test.
Indiana hasn't done it yet.
I just don't think that's the way you look at competition when you look at competition.
And Indiana hasn't played their hard team yet.
Like if I had to ask you this way, just if you had to throw a number out there, how many 4-stars do you think Ohio State's gotten this year?
15.
How many 4-stars do you think Indiana's gotten before this year?
No, 0.
Okay, so that's my point. Like, you just don't think, I get what they're doing, and it's great what they're doing, but until they announce themselves as that, in that kind of stage, in that kind of light, and they continue to do that, you just don't look at them the same, and it just is what it is.
Like I said, I think they win by 14 points, and I win because of the hook. All right, let's get to the our parlay, mic'd up parlay of the week.
Changing my pick to
this is the
Indiana.
first time all year, last week that we went 0-3 in the parlay. We have not.
Hey, that's a long ways to go.
Yeah.
You got to get into week
we've
11
also won. We've won 6 3-team parlays throughout the course of the year, so we have a pretty good record. Okay? We're going to get back in the winning ways.
That we'll caveat on that 0 for 3. 2 of those games we lost by a combined 2 points.
And Duke was up in the fourth quarter with a 20.5-point spread.
They were up 42-17 with the spread.
Yeah, with the spread, and they lost. They didn't cover. So
it happens.
That was cool. All right, can you put the
You want to see the parlay that we have cooked up what we cooking today?
And then we'll explain why we like it. Okay, I'll go first. That's mine. First one's first is Colorado at Texas Tech over 62.5. I like the over.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that Bryce is not putting money on this parlay.
Yeah, I don't think he likes that. I like the over. I think obviously Colorado's going to score. They're in a position right now where they have a chance to make it to the playoffs and win the Big 12. Texas Tech coming off a big win, upset win over Iowa State last week. Playing at Texas Tech. Texas Tech can put up points. Colorado obviously puts on points. I like the 62.5 I like the over 62.5.
Texas Tech coming off obviously heartbreak, but it was in the rain. Still have a fighting chance to be significant.
Yeah,
so they're not gonna.
They covered.
Yeah.
Right? No, they beat.
Texas Tech won. Yeah, they beat off.
Yeah,
they beat Iowa State. So riding high. So you can get offense from them. I have the next game, and I think that's why the happened. Because you're going to Tennessee at night. I understand all of that. But Tennessee has not lived up to the billing. And I think
Mississippi State's been sneakier than
Mississippi
people think.
State has been better. It's not showing up in the record books, but it is showing up in the spread books.
Yep.
Where they're still getting very much not enough credit for what they've been able to put together over the last couple of weeks. And Tennessee's faltered. Like, obviously, you have the big win over Alabama. But their offense is not a Heupel-type offense, and that's not because of Josh Heupel. I feel like it's been a struggle for their freshman 5-star quarterback who has been placed in
What's his name, Jared?
Emi
Aleva. I feel like he's missed some downfield throws, and that's led to Tennessee not being able to really run their offense and run up the score they want to. They scored 14 against Arkansas, 23 against Florida, only 24 against Bama, and 28 against Kentucky. If you're going to give me 24.5 points where Mississippi State has been able to score, I like the fact that I get 24 points. And a hook. Mississippi State scored 45 in their last game, 25 in their other game, 24, and 31-41 to Georgia. I think they have a puncher's chance.
Yeah, I like
Just
that.
cover. Just cover.
Just cover, baby. And then Jared's got the last game with Iowa State.
And the last game I got with Iowa State, on the road at the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, listen, this is the spot in the schedule for Kansas Jayhawks. I think before the year, they probably looked at it as, man, it's going to be tough to get through it. They played Kansas State, Iowa State, BYU, who's obviously better than everybody thought they would even be at this point, and Colorado before the last game of the season. So going into this Houston game before the Kansas State game 2 weeks ago, they had lost 5 straight games, right? So at that point, you're thinking that team's kind of looking at it like, well, we got 5 losses on the year, 1-2 more losses, we're done, we're cooked, we are not even bowl eligible, it's going to be a tough time for us. So they go out and beat the snot out of Houston, right? All right, we got ourselves rolling. The next week, they go on the road, they play Kansas State, and they get beat. Close game, 2-point loss. At that point, looking at the rest of the season, that's got to be super deflating for them. You flip it to the other side, and Iowa State, who had won 7 straight, loses a heartbreaker last week to Texas Tech by 1 point. This is a clear path to the Big 12 championship before they get to what the final game of their season, which is against Kansas State. I like Iowa State to come into this game, to speak business in this game, and to win this game by more than 3 points. I feel like they'll show up.
All they got to do is win about 3, actually.
Yep.
They can win about 3. Bryce, what do you think about it? What don't you like? What do you like? And how far away are you staying away from this?
I just placed it. I placed it.
Oh, let's go!
Look,
Let's go!
Here's
We pressured it, man.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Look, we can convince people of
Here's the
things.
deal. If we lose this, and maybe we could talk about this at another later date, if you're going to join the show on Fridays,
We
maybe
can add a
we
pick.
make this a 14 parlay and you add your pick to it.
It's a lot of pressure.
No, I've only won one parlay all year.
Yeah, but you haven't
And
been
it
with us.
wasn't
All you
college
got to do is
football.
pick one game.
You just pick one game.
You just pick one game, and we all pick one game.
Yeah.
So it's a meeting
I
of the
like that.
minds. But
You know, the Mississippi State one is the toughest one for me to get on the train.
people hate
But-
points. What do you want?
Well, I agree with what you said there. I'm just scared Dylan Sampson's going to run all over him. and it's going to make life easy for Nico. And I don't know if Mississippi State can stop anybody. That's going to be mine. But to your extent, 24 points. Hey, just lose by 21, and you'll be fine.
They're already winning 24.5 to nothing right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
48-24. Like, that doesn't look close. Late touchdown in the game. It's 48-17. Now it's 48-24. Cover.
For anybody who could put up 21 to 28, it's hard for me to believe you got beat by another 25. Like, that's just hard to do.
Right.
This is me going back to the well of plus 24.5.
So you're telling me that we've got this Iowa State-Kansas game, this Colorado Texas State game at 3 o'clock, 2:30. I'll be able to keep tabs on that. I'm going to be sitting in the press box at Tiger Stadium sweating out Mississippi State.
Hey, welcome to our live, baby.
LSU and Alabama are playing right there in front of me.
Welcome to our live.
The SEC Network Plus game.
Welcome to our live.
That's why I like to bet during the LSU game, so if it's always a loser, nobody can talk to me about it because there's no cell server, so I just have to hear about it later.
That's it. I love it. Plus 596 on those odds. That's usually around the honey hole that we get when we bet at plus 596. Then we've gotten as high as the 612. But that's been the honey hole. We've won some games. We've won some money with it. Hopefully we do it again. Get back on the winning ways.
Come on, Mississippi State. Ring the cowbell.
All right. That's really all we got, Bryce. We appreciate you coming on to the show, and we appreciate you always spending your Fridays with us whenever you can. Very sad you didn't have the baby with you today, but it's okay. She's taking a nap.
She's sleeping right now.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
It is what it is.
Dreamland. Wow.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's probably good for you. You need her to sleep.
I can't believe Bryce has turned heel on the show. He's now Alabama.
No, we need that. We needed it.
Yeah, I know.
We had to have that.
Perspective.
Yeah, good. I know why you did it. You did it for the good of LSU.
He's been
So
down
I
on
appreciate
LSU
you.
all year.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, I hate LSU.
Enjoy the game. Enjoy
Georgia
this
blood.
weekend. Keep wooing the weather away. Hopefully no rain this weekend. It looks promising so far. We'll see. But we'll see you this weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Appreciate you. See you later, dude.
Awesome. I want to say one last thing before we get out of here. How about Jay Johnson in this recruiting efforts? Dear God, it is fun to watch.
How about it, huh?
I know we could talk about that, but
yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that because are you gonna go watch a scrimmage? You gonna pop in at 11:30?
I'm trying to get out there on. I'm trying to get out there on Sunday. I'm trying to go to Lafayette for.
There you go.
Oh, wow, Ryder.
Yeah, good for you.
Big move. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, cool stadium.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know if you've ever been there. It was
Awesome.
the Teague. Pretty good stadium.
My buddy broke into that. He broke into the stadium after a night at the pub and the keg. Broke in and ran the bases on the Teague. So.
He went to the pub and the keg.
Yeah, 3:30. Then he broke into the
feel
Teague.
like that's kind of a normal thing for the
Lafayette
pub and
crew.
keg crowd.
Yeah.
But usually when you get to the keg, I guess you go to the pub first,
That's
then go to the
what I'm
keg.
saying.
Yeah.
There's neither one of them are there anymore.
I know. Tore them down.
Yeah. No.
No, they're still up, but I'm saying we tear those
Oh,
places down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It'll
would
be
say
good.
go
The
if they
team.
were
The
open.
team is. They got some guys. I think they may be the deepest team Jay's ever had here. Deep. Like, obviously, I don't want to call it talented, but like you have. I mean, he's probably got four guys you could play a shortstop tomorrow, and he'd be comfortable with it.
It's gonna be hard. I mean, right now, it's hard to put together like a lineup.
Right,
'Cause I
which is
think
a good
there's just
thing.
So many different combinations, which is a great problem to have in fall ball. But I'm excited to watch. We'll have to talk about baseball obviously soon.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt. All right, dude. Enjoy the weekend. Hopefully we run into
Appreciate
you
it, fellas.
over the weekend. Enjoy Lafayette. Peace.
And real quick, we have
another real quick.
Well, I just want to say, like if you think as much as we love Jay Johnson, we have one guy in the chat that's a Canes Cats Heat 305 lifer, and the first thing he said in the chat before the show even started, I cannot stand your baseball program. LSU beat Miami once again for another baseball recruit. It's Jay Johnson, the guy that puts my coach in a body bag every time on the trail. That guy's from the goddamn Everglades.
And that's a pretty good way to sum it up. Pretty good way to sum it up there. Jay's been he's a monster on the trail, and it's not going to stop. So it'll be fun to watch. All right, we'll let you go for real this time. Appreciate you, Bryce.
Awesome.
Yep.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Enjoy your weekend. He didn't love it, but he's on it with us. Didn't love it, but he's on it with us. I like what we got. I like the 24.5. We're gonna have fun with it. At least we know that it'll be the last game of the parlay. Whatever.
He saw that 65 and that 24, and he went, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
He was not with it to start.
62.5. You're talking about 65.
Was it 62?
62 and a half was the over-under.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, this is.
I like
See,
that.
but I like the way I feel about this one because as confident as I was in last week's. So if I feel a little woogly about this one, that means, maybe my compass is redirecting. You should be nervous.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was supremely confident in the last
No
one.
doubt. No doubt. All right. Let's get to the seggies, and we call this beautiful Friday a day and start drinking for the weekend.
Yes.
Mistake of the day brought to you by our friends at Dozy Place. What we got?
Mistake of the day just coming through.
Hey, just coming through the wire.
The wire. Todd Golden.
Hey, I know. I just saw that.
This is interesting because this is very. If these are true, he is a real piece of work.
So I only read the headline, which is a typical Mikey move.
Yeah.
So have you read the article?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
So, obviously, head coach of Florida basketball. This is all rumors, nothing exactly true, but it feels like this is hard for it to be unfounded considering how many reports are out there. But he is being charged with, by Title IX, sexual harassment, sexual exploitation, stalking, and because on more than one occasion, taking photos of women walking or driving and sending those pictures to the subjects of the photos, which is like serial killer stuff. On more than one occasion, photographing women's cars in various locations and sending those photographs to the subject of those photos.
That's very weird.
On one or more occasions, showing up to locations where he knew the woman would be. On more than one occasion...
Is it one woman?
No, it's women. Women. On more than one occasion, attempting to engage women by liking their Instagram photos, waiting for them to read the notice, and then unliking the image to avoid detection. That's an odd way to flirt, but whatever you think works.
Wow.
What did I just hear?
Wow.
What?
Listen, there's one thing of like being friends with somebody and like actually having a mutual relationship and seeing them like randomly in a spot and sending them a picture like, oh, whatever. It's a whole different thing.
I've never done that in my life.
Where you're like, not random. Like it's like you got to be like tight with them. Like I see you walking and I'm just so happen to be getting Chipotle and I see you walking down the street and I take a picture and send it to you as a friend.
And they turn around like, hey.
And you say what's going on, right? Like
okay.
you don't like hide from it. You just say, hey, look, I see you. They turn around, whatever. But you don't do it to some random person.
That's weird.
You don't do it to. You don't just take random photos of cars that are unoccupied.
I know you
send it
park
to them
here.
like, hey, look, I see where your car is. That's very weird.
Super weird.
A lot of I don't know if you've seen the Netflix show.
Hey, look, this is documented. I heard it's really good though.
Yeah, but they're just comparing that man to him, who finds one person that he thinks he's in love with, and then like stalks them to this degree. You're like, I know where you are, I know where you parked, I know everything about you, so I can actually run game because I know everything you like.
Can't really deny that.
No,
that's there's documentation there. Boy, that's a tough. That's a tough deal.
Yeah.
And Florida's don't they have like a 7'7" center? Didn't they have a guy on the team that's like 7 feet 7?
I think yeah. Because they got another.
The other
7-footer
jumped. Yeah.
Gave him the jump.
Wild.
That's crazy.
That is a mistake of the day for sure. That is a mistake.
Yes,
one of the biggest mistakes you can probably make.
Yeah, on the lighter side, it's just unruly behavior. Like you're gonna get caught.
You are the head basketball coach at Florida. Let's
and the picture
show some decorum.
Yeah, and they have the evidence.
Yeah, like
you're clearly making.
You didn't even do it from a burner phone.
No, you're clearly making unwanted advances. They're like, well, yeah, here's right here. It's on my phone.
How did he get their numbers?
I don't know, man. So maybe he thinks it's justified because I have her number. It's like, well, she's not in her card. Maybe don't take a picture and send it to her. Like, hey, where are you? There's no good reason for that.
Yeah, that's not great.
Like parked in a handicap spot.
Not great.
I have a copy of your key if you want me to move it.
What are we doing here?
Here is the better side of sports. This is.
Oh, Matt Berry does this. He does a good job with this. Doesn't he go to all these restaurants like on Thursday Night Football or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is Coastal Carolina's head coach, and this is before the game. So he is about to go coach an actual game. And so he sits down, does the restaurant thing, and fans are behind him, and he gets caught up. And this guy I will play for any day of the week.
Rinse it up with a Crazy Sister beer.
We gotta rinse it down with a blonde ale.
Yeah, you have to. Sorry about that. We're out of water.
This is
You know what?
Wow, this is a mistake or crazy or curtain call?
This is my curtain call.
This is your curtain call. Curtain call brought to you by Perkins McKenzie.
I can hear the bosses now. You know what? You guys, I'll be the adult.
This guy's about to chug a beer before he goes coach a game.
This was yesterday, wasn't it?
Look, they all sip it. They're like, I'm taking it down.
Oh, look at him.
Smashes it on the head.
Let's go.
For anybody who doesn't know, Coastal Carolina.
Hey, Myrtle Beach parties.
School.
Myrtle Beach parties. Hey, and to add to that, Coastal won.
They won, upset, I guess, quote unquote, upset Appalachian State and stormed the field.
Yep, 38-24.
That guy
Not even
is.
close.
How many of the team do you think saw that actual clip before the game? Not
That's
after
awesome.
the game, before the game.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, everybody got a phone. They're like, "Yo, bro, you see Coach?" Like, hell yeah. I mean,
He probably went in there hyped up and got them. I mean, that was awesome.
yeah,
Good for him.
that is an unbelievable move. And
That's
I don't,
great.
because I don't think they expected him to like a little bit, maybe.
That
No,
could have been. That could have
taking
been,
this thing down.
That could have been your best curtain call of the year. Good one. You got one, Jay?
Yeah, I got one. Listen, it came in a losing effort, but there is a part of sports that is theater, if you will. And what we saw from Joey B and Jamar Chase last night was impressive.
Pretty wild.
Burrow threw for 400 plus, I think 4 touchdowns. Jamar 260 plus, 3 touchdowns. They put on an absolute show. And it was kind of sad that it happened in a losing effort, but I want to give a little bit of love to that because we forget a lot that LSU is doing some special things in the league right now, and these are 2 guys that are part of the headline of what this place is and what kind of talent it puts out. So I give a little love to them.
I may be piggybacking on your curtain call, but I had one that we talked about before the show, and I forgot to put it in the thing, and so I don't remember what it is. But it was something that we had initially talked about potentially doing a show curtain call for. I don't remember what it is, so I'm going to piggyback on the LSU boys going out there. And even more so, Jamar Chase in his games specifically this year against the Baltimore Ravens. I believe in 2 games he's got over 500 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns against the Ravens, who are one of the better teams in the NFL. He did that in 1 year. That's a season for some receivers. He did that in 2 games. So
I have a separate curtain call if you want it. This is Maine student manager.
Oh, that was I did see that. That's a great one.
And
did you see this?
I did not see this.
Wow, look at this guy.
So he's a student manager. They're at Duke, and they're obviously Maine. And
they're wearing
Buddy
him out.
is getting worn out.
Watch this.
Oh, he could dunk. He got ups.
That's Cooper Flag.
That's not.
Obviously. No, that's not him.
That's him, and they're all talking shit to him. He's like, yeah, cool. Huh.
And watch this. It gets better.
Oh, he put on a show. Oh, Buddy was going lift off over
Yeah,
there.
he was feeling himself. Like easy.
Okay.
So they go from talking mad shit. This man's just out here hooping.
Just hooping.
Where's Doug?
They're like,
and boys like, man, we could never do that. All 3 of us combined.
that's my. Thank you for throwing it in there.
And then that went from heckle like, bro, we got to get a picture with you.
Yeah.
I thought that was
I
unbelievable.
mean, this guy's got to get a job somewhere. I mean, I don't know if he can shoot or do whatever, but
He was a
all state, right?
3-time All-State and was like dropped. I think he averaged like 30 points a game his high school career or something crazy like that. I mean, he's not the tallest man in the world.
Yeah, but he didn't go play at a small school. You
loves
can go
hoop.
play
He's a student manager at Maine. So
I know that, but he could have gone play at a Maine probably. He probably could play there. To be honest with you,
I didn't know you had that in you.
Yeah.
But I thought that was incredible.
Maybe
I
we'll
didn't know
see
he
him
was.
Now, they knew they had him, man, because I guarantee if he's at Maine.
Oh, well, if he's a manager, he's playing against them.
But so who do you
Yeah.
think they're playing against in practice?
Yeah.
My man right here.
No doubt. All right. That's all we got for you on this beautiful Friday here at our home at Indigo Papers. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy the LSU games. Enjoy the slate of games. We didn't even sniff the Saints conversation on Monday. For the Sunday game. But we don't need to because they are irrelevant.
We talked about them a lot on Wednesday.
We talked a lot about them on Wednesday, yes. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Stay safe. Drink responsibly. Gamble responsibly. And good luck to the Mik'd Up Parlay.
Yes.
Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't like watching us, but you like listening to us or anywhere you get your pods. We appreciate the love and support. We'll be back live in studio on Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. See you out there this weekend. Peace.
Go Tigers.
Deuces.